morning and welcome. My name is tlewis, and I serve as the Director of Membership and Engagement here at Unity Temple Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We're so glad you're joining us this morning and wish you a meaningful experience. This morning, Reverend Emily Gage will be reflecting on our monthly theme of hope. Following the service, we'll have coffee hour via Zoom. Instructions on how to participate will be in the chat. We hope you will join us.
Good morning. My name is Julie Willoughby, and I am a member of the Board of Trustees at Unity Temple. Thank you for joining us for our service today. If this is your first time joining us, you can find more information about what we do and who we are and how you can get involved at unitytemple.org. You can also find the link for our Zoom coffee hour following the service. Our mission at Unity Temple is welcoming all, inspiring wonder, nurturing compassion, and serving community. We're so glad to have you with us today. Thank you and have a great weekend.
We invite you to light your chalice with us. We are Unitarian Universalist Church of the open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. We take care of the earth and each other.
Our opening words are in part from the Reverend Cindy Landrum. Spirit of life and love, we gather together in different ways this morning. From computer screens to telephones to TV monitors, we gather, reaching across the wires to come together in religious community. From living room to front porch to breakfast table, we gather as we are able, ready to be of service to each other and to the world. Ready to build the community of hope and of love. As we face the bright morning, we are apart, but we are together, offering our love, our commitment, our hope, and our prayers in service to one another and the world. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your life journey, you are welcome here. Come, let us worship together.
Please join with us in the words of our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
Please join with us as we sing hymn 1074 in the Teal hymnal, Turn the World Around.
We come from the fire, living in the fire, go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water, go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living in the mountain, go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Whoa, so is life. Ah, so is life. Whoa, so is life. Wah, so is life. Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Whoa, so is life. Abati wah, so is life. Whoa, so is life. Abati wah, so is life. Water make the river, river wash the mountain, fire make the sunlight turn the world around. Heart is of the river, body is the mountain, spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the spirit, truly of the spirit, only can the spirit turn the world around. Whoa, so is life. Abati wah, ha, so is life. Whoa, so is life. Abati wah, ha, so is life.
Hello. The story I'm going to share with you today is called Tiny the God by Becky Brooks. Once upon a time, there was a tiny, little, itty-bitty, very small God named Tiny. She lived her life hearing stories of all the big gods, and well, let's face it, she was jealous. She knew she needed to think of some kind of special spark of an idea that would make her existence seem meaningful. After watching humans for a long time, she hit upon something that just might work. Something to make people think, yeah, that Tiny's really got a good idea going on. This was it. This was going to make her famous. Ready? Here it is. You are not alone. She took the form of a very light breeze, and in a voice so quiet, each person heard it only in their mind. She said, You are not alone. You are not alone. People loved it. It was perfect because who doesn't want to hear that? Pretty soon, Tiny was comforting people all over with You are not alone. Every evening, she took the form of the breeze and whispered it in people's minds. Until one day, she encountered someone who wasn't comforted at all. When Miriam heard Tiny's words in her mind, instead of feeling comforted, she felt agitated. Something was just kind of off about it. She kept saying it to herself over and over again. You are not alone. You are not alone. She tossed and turned. She couldn't sleep. In the morning, she went to read the paper, and instead of skimming everything, she found herself drinking in every single story. She was only halfway through when she found herself crying. I am not alone, she said. I am connected to every one of these people. They live in my town and my country, in my world. They love their children like I love mine. They're scared sometimes, and so am I. They hurt like I hurt. I am not alone. I can help. Tiny was surprised. It hadn't occurred to her that someone might think of it that way. Tiny kept watch over Miriam to monitor this interesting development. Miriam and a coworker met online in a meeting and talked about how they hoped the Senate would pass a new law. And Tiny noticed when Miriam wrote a letter to her senator about it right away. She noticed that when Miriam turned in her grocery order, she bought a few extra things for her neighbor and left them with a colorful note on their porch. She noticed that Miriam had tears in her eyes when she joined her congregation's worship service on their computer, and she heard her favorite hymn through the small speakers. Miriam got out her phone and made an extra donation to her congregation. She watched as Miriam wrote postcards to friends and family near and far. Miriam waved to the dog walkers who passed by her house, and Miriam strung up a beautiful, colorful string of lights in her living room window to make her home seem more welcoming. But most importantly for Tiny, she noticed when Miriam received a phone call one evening from a friend that she hadn't heard from in a long while. His voice was shaking. I'm having a hard time, he said. He started to tell her about his troubles, and he began to cry. Miriam got herself comfortable in her chair. Take your time. I'll stay on the line with you, she said. You are not alone. I am here. I am here. Tiny heard those words like an echo in her mind. You are not alone. I am here. In that moment, Tiny knew that she was nothing without Miriam's hands, heart, and spirit. And she knew that what she wanted, what the world needed more than anything, was what Miriam had learned to give. So Tiny went to work. Instead of just spending her evenings spreading the gospel of you are not alone, she spent her night times doing it too, and her mornings and afternoons. Pretty soon she was spending every moment doing it, until she became the breeze itself. And this is why there's no paintings of Tiny, no busts or holy books, just a breeze, a low voice, and many, many helping hands, loving hearts, and caring spirits. If you listen closely, you can hear the echo. You are not alone. I am here. When water bottles are left in the desert for those who risk their lives to cross it, you are not alone. I am here. At the bedside of a dying person, you are not alone. I am here. In the jailhouse and in the sanctuary, you are not alone. I am here. Separate and together, you are not alone. I am here. May it be so.
Good morning. I'm Jay Peterson, one of our congregation's pastoral associates. Now is the time during our service where we especially hold one another in our hearts. Please be mindful of Deb Klaus's son, Patrick Karenich, 20 years old, who is recovering from a seizure in the ICU of Rush Hospital. Hold both Deb and Patrick in your hearts. Charlotte Lee has been in the hospital for several weeks due to a heart condition. The heart condition has been brought under control, and now she's receiving physical therapy before she returns home. Please keep Ralph and Charlotte in your hearts. If you have a significant life event, a personal struggle, or an especial joy that's uplifting you today, you can share them right now at the bottom of your screen in the comments section. Locally, the following people were reported killed during the days between July 16th and July 23rd. Jimmy Blumenberg, age 67. Jonathan Castillo, 32. Gregory Crawford, 35. Nehru Crosby, 24. Devarius Davis, 31. Tavon Edwards, 23. Marcus Felton, 25. Libations Fields, 21. Enrique Gonzalez Jr., 20. Jose Jesus Hernandez, 19. Zachary Hill, 26. Tyrese Jones, 41. Boris Lilly, 34. Eric McNair, 20. Malcolm Meredy, 25. Devontae Merrill, 26. Bereshit Mitchell, 21. Keon Aki Moore, 17. Enrique Munoz, 30. Charlie Perez, 17. Kendall Reed, 40. Miguel Rios, 18. Cordero Robinson, 30. Kiane Jazan Sewell, age 26. Derek Teague, 60. Twan Thigpen, 25. Angie Webster, 25. And Stephen Earl Williams Jr., age 26. May we keep their families and others touched by violence in our prayers. May we also pray for the perpetrators and the impact the violence will have in their lives. Remember, during this time of isolation, that we're all still experiencing significant life events, significant emotions. Keep others in your hearts and your minds, and make contact with each other to share these important feelings and events. Remember that at any time you can get hold of a pastoral associate by emailing pastoralassociates@unitytemple.org. We'd be happy to talk to you.
Spirit of life and love, our hearts are so full these days with all that life offers us. Some of it weighing us down and some of it lifting us up. May we know that we are not alone, but held in a network of love and care. From time to time, I think of Wendell Berry's words tucked into our gray hymn book, and I offer them as words of prayer and meditation to you this morning. When despair for the world grows in me and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things which do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. May we all rest in the grace of the world. Amen. Blessed be.
This first poem is from the book The Kind of Brave You Wanted to Be by Brian Doyle. The things we say when we have nothing to say. If I was to ask you a question about where you came from, and you were to ask me, did I mean nativity or ethnicity or nationality or religious background, and I said no. I meant what story, what amazement, what joy, what ocean. Would you be speechless? I don't think so. I think you would wait a moment to clear away all the orthodox answers. And then you would say something like, I am from the people who dance when they are sad. Or I come from music I cannot run from. Or I came through a broken door, and it took me a long time to stop trying to shatter it or repair it or inflict it on my kids. You would say something like that, I think, if I asked gently, and we had the time to let all the other answers trundle past. Like the things we say when we actually have nothing to say. This second poem is from Tracy K. Smith's book, Wade in the Water. An old story. We were made to understand it would be terrible. Every small want, every niggling urge, every hate swollen to a kind of epic wind. Livid the land, and ravaged like a rageful dream. The worst in us having taken over and broken the rest utterly down. A long age passed, when at last we know how little would survive us, how little we had mended or built that was not now lost. Something large and old awoke, and then our singing brought on a different manner of weather. Then animals long believed gone crept down from trees. We took new stock of one another. We wept to be reminded of such color.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination. spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Want to change the world, there's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there you'll be free if you truly wish to be. You will find in your mind there's a world of endless fascination. No more fun a place to be than in your imagination. You can dream any dream. You can savor every situation. Life in there's a sensational sensation. If you want to see magic lands, close your eyes and you will see one. Wanna be a dreamer, be one. Anytime you please, and please save me one. There is no place to go to compare with your imagination. So go there to be free if you truly wish to be.
One of my favorite movie scenes of all time is in Shawshank Redemption. In this part of the movie, Shawshank Prison has just received boxes of books and records after a 6-year-long letter-writing campaign by a prisoner named Andy. When the materials arrive, it happens that Andy is alone in the prison warden's office, and he puts on a record of Mozart's Marriage of Figaro and plays it over the loudspeaker. Suddenly, 2 glorious women's voices are singing throughout the prison grounds. The camera shows us different scenes around the prison, including one where you can see everyone in the prison yard standing stock still as the music soars around them. There is something just stunningly beautiful about the whole thing. The music itself, of course, but also the way everything stops and every last prisoner bears witness to this beauty. It moves me every single time. Red, the sometime narrator of the film, played by Morgan Freeman, says, "To this day, I have no idea what those 2 Italian ladies were singing about. Truth is, I don't want to know. Some things are best left unsaid. I would like to think they were singing about something so beautiful it can't be expressed in words and makes your heart ache because of it. I tell you, those voices soared higher and farther than anybody in a gray place dares to dream. It was like some beautiful bird flapped into our drab little cage and made those walls dissolve away. For the briefest moment, every last man at Shawshank felt free." Maybe this scene sticks with me so much because somehow it makes me feel free too. 4+ months into our pandemic existence, I've been thinking hard about what sustains us, what keeps us going, what gives us hope, what makes us feel free, or at least keeps us in touch with something beyond our current circumstances. I've always had a tendency to worry, and it turns out that this is my time to shine. Just think about how much there is to worry about these days. I mean, the range is just staggering. Should I risk going to a store myself, or should I have delivery and put someone else at risk? How will my kid and our family deal with remote learning at school? How can I balance work and parenting? How can I stop the erosion of civil liberties happening constantly around our country? How can we counteract the misinformation that is causing people to die? If you are a worrier, you may have a similar list. If you don't, these times may have caused you to ponder these questions anyway. I've been doing my best to take a lot of deep breaths, and I've been watching our dog Lloyd, who has been with us for about 2 months now. I am taking life lessons from Lloyd, this dog who greets life and everyone he meets with great friendly enthusiasm. The other day, a human friend came over and brought her dog. Lloyd had never met this dog, but he ran right up to her, greeted her with wags and sniffs, and they got right to playing as hard as possible. He was all in and with the most positive attitude around. I appreciate that. That's pretty much how he greets life in general. I have been joining my wife on putting puzzles together. Anything concrete with visible progress like this I have found to be profoundly satisfying to do. We have one constantly going at our house. I've been getting into the pool in our backyard and just floating. I've been watching favorite movies, ones which I have loved for various reasons, ones that have fed my soul or spirit for some reason, and so they can do that again, like Shawshank Redemption. I had not seen this particular movie in a number of years, and I had forgotten how hard and horrible it is. Not the movie itself, but the cruelty in the story. Of course, this is not what I love best. What I love best are the transcendent moments, the ones that defy somehow the circumstance of, say, being imprisoned for life for a crime you did not commit. In the movie, as the opera plays throughout the prison, the warden returns to his locked office and pounds on the door. Andy watches the warden and the guards swinging their clubs menacingly on the other side of the glass, and slowly leans over and turns up the music. Eventually, of course, they break down the door, capture Andy, and throw him in the hole, solitary confinement, for 2 weeks. When Andy returns to his friends, he says, "That was the easiest time I ever did." They don't believe him, of course, but he said, "I had Mr. Mozart to keep me company. Right here and right here." Andy continues, "That is the beauty of music. They can't get that from you. Haven't you ever felt that way about music?" His friend Red replies, "I played a mean harmonica as a younger man. Lost interest in it, though. Didn't make much sense in here." Andy says, "Here's where it makes the most sense. You need it so you don't forget." And Red says, "Forget?" Andy says, "Forget that there are places in the world that aren't made of stone, that there's something inside that they can't get to, that they can't touch. That's yours." Red says, "What are you talking about?" And Andy says, "Hope. Hope." Since I rewatched that film, I keep thinking about that something inside of each of us that can't be touched. That's something that keeps us going. That's something deep inside of us that we can count on. That's something that helps to remind us of what is beyond all the worries of our current situation. Andy calls his hope. And maybe it is hope itself, and maybe it's something else hidden inside that gives us hope. I think about Brian Doyle's poem where he asks, "Where did you come from?" and imagines a response then you would say, I come from people who dance when they are sad, or I come from music I cannot run from, or I came through a broken door and it took me a long time to stop trying to shatter it or repair it or inflict it on my kids. Sometimes we need to be reminded of what is most essential, most core to who we are deep, deep down inside. Sometimes we need to be reminded that we are part of something greater than ourselves, and that is part of our inner core that can't be touched. And I think of Tracy K. Smith's poem, when at last we knew how little would survive us, how little we had mended or built that was not now lost, something large and old awoke. And then our singing brought on a different manner of weather. Then animals long believed gone crept down from trees. We took stock of one another. We wept to be reminded of such color. Congressman John Lewis, one of my personal heroes, died in these past couple weeks at the age of 80. He worked for change through nonviolent means almost his entire life. He was physically and brutally attacked by segregationists as a freedom rider in 1961 at the age of 21. As chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, he was the youngest and most radical speaker at the 1963 March on Washington, where Dr. King gave his I Have a Dream speech. His skull was fractured on Bloody Sunday, March 7, 1965, in an early Selma to Montgomery march attempt. On and on the list goes, and he figures he was arrested about 40 times for standing up for what he felt was right. He was elected to Congress from Georgia and served in the House for 33 years, right up until his death. In recent years, there are pictures of him as part of a sit-in for gun control on the House floor. A photo of him in June had him standing with the Washington, D.C. mayor, both in masks, at the Black Lives Matter Plaza. He was a man of incredible integrity. He was all in. And surely, if anyone had something deep inside which he knew they could not touch, it was John Lewis. He held it not only for himself, but for everyone around him. He said, "You are a light. You are the light. Never let anyone, any person, or any force dampen, dim, or diminish your light. Choose confrontation wisely, but when it is your time, don't be afraid to stand up, and speak out against injustice. And if you follow your truth down the road to peace and the affirmation of love, if you shine like a beacon for all to see, then the poetry of all the great dreamers and philosophers is yours to manifest in a nation, a world community, and a beloved community that is finally at peace with itself." I will sorely miss knowing that he is out there fighting the good fight, getting into what he called good trouble. And as I consider the days to come, I may well ask myself, what would John Lewis do? Whatever the answer, I know it would be one fueled with a sense of some deep grounding in hope and love, perhaps discouraged but never deterred from doing what is just and right. We're some 4.5 months into this pandemic in our area, about 2 months into sustained Black Lives Matter protests, and 3 months and a bit until an election where the stakes in my lifetime have never seemed higher. Things seem even more uncertain than they did not long ago. It's not always clear if progress is being made. There is plenty to worry about if you're the worrying type, and even if you're not. And there is something inside each of us that cannot be touched. Some inner strength or hope or beautiful piece of who we are. It is our job to hold on to that something, to tend to it by listening and caring and feeding our spirits and souls with the beautiful, because we cannot forget that it is there. There's a line from Shawshank Redemption that I carry around with me in my metaphorical pocket. It pops into my head from time to time when I need it most. It happens towards the end of the movie. Andy has just gotten out of 2 entire months of solitary confinement. He is talking with Red out in the prison yard about a spot in Mexico. Red gets frustrated with Andy. He says, "I don't think you ought to be doing this to yourself, Andy. They're just pipe dreams. Mexico is way down there and you're in here, and that is the way it is." "Yeah, right," says Andy. "That's the way it is. It's down there, and I'm in here." I guess it just comes down to a simple choice, really. Get busy living or get busy dying. Get busy living or get busy dying. May we open ourselves up to all the beautiful. May we sense that strength and love deep within which cannot be touched. May we find hope and get busy living. And so may it always be. Our offering this morning is designated for Working in Concert, which is the nonprofit organization of which Bellissima Opera is a part. This group created an opera premiering in June 2021 in partnership with 1,300 Chicago area youth who participated in workshops as a response to violence. Information on giving to this group and to our congregation can be found on our giving slides, our website, and in the email about this worship service. May we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts. Our benediction is from John Lewis. You are a light. You are the light. Never let anyone, any person, or any force dampen, dim, or diminish your light. Choose confrontation wisely, but when it is your time, don't be afraid to stand up, and speak out against injustice. And if you follow your truth down the road to peace and the affirmation of love, if you shine like a beacon for all to see, then the poetry of all the great dreamers and philosophers is yours to manifest in a nation, a world community, and a beloved community that is finally at peace with itself.
There is something beginning, a change in me, a new life has has begun. My yesterday seems so far away. I am now aware of who I have become. I stand here naked with emotion, letting go of all the fear in me, desperate not to lose this time but win. Let love begin. I made some bad mistakes, but it's lesson learned. If you never take a chance, you'll never know. I am stronger than I ever knew. I don't need to rush this time, just take it slow. Let the world take notice of this change, that my spirit's been reborn again. I was broken by my past, but now I'm free. Won't be scared of what tomorrow brings. It is time for me to spread my wings, awaken from the spell so deep within. Let love begin. Oh. I want to feel again. I want that need again. I want to be the place someone calls home. I deserve to feel alive this time. It feels great to breathe in hope once more, with the fire pushing me to live again. 'Cause I want to know when life gets rough, there'll be someone there to lift me up. I've lost before, but now it's time to win. I am ready. Come and find me. I'm waiting here. Let love